So this issue with the boats is disturbing a lot of people up and down the country. I mean, to be honest with you, on social media, that's pretty much all I see every day is people who are very angry about what is going on. We've got boatloads of mainly men, because it is mainly men, coming into the country. Government doesn't seem to be doing anything about it. And it's really disturbing a lot of people. Now, we've got them coming into these centres, and people are very, very angry about it. And we don't really understand why nothing is being done. So, what do you think is going on here?
I mean, let's consider why people are angry, right? You've got half a
Mm.
billion quid going to France, purportedly to stop the boats. So they're pocketing all of that money, and people are still coming across. Now, Rishi Sunak, it was about 2 weeks ago now, he stood up in front of a podium and announced that the UK's plan to stop the boats was working. Actually, Rishi, it was the rain, not Rishi, that stopped the boats, right? And people are angry because people are listening to this rhetoric by the Prime Minister, and they're hearing that he's doing all he can to stop the boats. Meanwhile, Euro courts with fancy conventions are being used to stop the deportation of those who've entered our country illegally, those who are foreign offenders, who may mean the British people harm, who don't want to partake in our way of life, and we are powerless to do anything about it. I can understand that anger. I feel it too, especially in the Northeast here, right? We saw a report in Mail Online this weekend in County Durham. There are plenty of families in this part of the world, Sarah, no doubt in others as well. But, you know, eh, the Northeast is quite an outlier as far as its access to prosperity, connectivity, and all these other things are concerned. You've got families that live in fear of their mortgages, their energy bills, their pay packets. Yet we're concerning ourselves in this report, and then they had an inspector go into a detention, a migration centre. It's a removal centre for women, right, for female migrants, and it's in County Durham. And they had an inspector go in, and the inspector came out and said that there was a lack of a hair salon and lack of fast Wi-Fi for this centre that's hosting those without a right to be there. And we, as the British people, as British taxpayers, must do something about it. And I feel like saying, sling your sodding hook. You know, if these people want to come here illegally, why should they expect bed, board, benefits, Wi-Fi, hair salons? When people up here, you know, they're probably foregoing their haircut, their colouring, and all the rest of it, right? And saying, I can't afford it. I just can't do it. And then the Prime Minister's recent boast, as I say, stopping the boats after a huge surge in Channel migrant arrivals. It was only, as I say, last month, a few weeks ago, that he was championing a 20% fall in the number of people arriving here. But guess what's happened this weekend? There's been a surge in arrivals that have seen that gap between 2022 and 2023, where we're up to in the year now, of course, that being July. The gap is starting to disappear. It's starting to become what we experienced last year rather. And GB News have said that 13,000 people have now crossed the English Channel since the beginning of the year. That's 13,000 people that we need to clothe, that we need to feed, that we need to house, that we need to educate, that we need translators for. So you can damn well be assured that people are angry about this. Because so many British people, Sarah, are just saying, look, I like to think of myself as a decent human being, but I also care about fairness. And I think the British people are being taken for a ride. And that's the anger, Sarah. That's what explains the anger there. And I get that. We need to leave the Euro courts, the ECHR, and we need to stand
Mm.
up for once for the British bloody people, because that's not happening here and now.
Yeah. Totally, I totally agree with you. I mean, there's so much anger out there about it. And the interesting thing as well is that it's not just coming from the British people who are born here, the immigrants who came to this country legally
Legally,
and
yeah.
have really worked hard and paid into the system. They are very angry about it as well because they're thinking to themselves, well, we went the right way. We have done everything we can to, build the country up, and good on them. But you have so many people coming in who are doing the total opposite. And it's a slap in the face, I think, to the British people and the people who came here in order to make a better life for themselves the right way
Well,
and
not
to
just to
do
make a
contribute.
better life for themselves, right? But to help in industries and jobs where we need
Yeah.
the skills and opportunities that they might possess. And they would have had to have gone through visa processes. They would have had to have gone through applications. They would have had to
Yeah.
save money to ensure that they've got enough to come here and work here legally. I've
Mm,
got absolute respect for people like that, Sarah. Don't get me
mm,
wrong for a second.
yeah.
Totally grateful to them for coming here and contributing to our country. Hopefully, they want to play a part in British values and British life. Perfect. Hunky dory, happy days. But yes, I can see people getting angry at the fact that you hop in a boat from France, you get over
Mm,
here, border force ferries you across, and yet people who actually want to go through legal routes, legal
mm.
channels, are denied that opportunity. So, yeah, it's unfair throughout the whole system. That's what it is, unfair.
Absolutely. And I will make this last point. I mean, there are a lot of people out there, particularly in countries where they are being persecuted for their religion, for example. Like, for
Hmm.
example, there are many Christians out there
Yeah,
in various areas of the world who, they do seek refuge. They're genuine good people. But what is happening is that they find themselves unable to get to safe countries, particularly because we have this situation going on. So people are basically tarnishing everyone with the same brush, and yet the genuine people are not able to get where they need to get our help because we have these people basically taking the mick out of our system. And I think it's very sad for these people as well because they find themselves trapped because of what these people are doing.
absolutely. Yeah, it is. And if Britain starts to, if we have record levels this year, God forbid,
Mm.
where can we house people that are in genuine need of refuge? Where,
Yeah, absolutely.
the Ukrainians, the Hong Kongers, you name it,
Yes. Yeah.
in Hong Kong, for example, there are British nationals, British nationals overseas with
Yeah,
passports. And
definitely.
China isn't getting any better. China's becoming more authoritarian, more tyrannical,
Yeah.
and more the rest
Yeah.
of it. Where are we going to
Mm.
place these people? Rents in this
Exactly.
country, the housing crisis, everything in this country is just getting worse. And I would argue that actually we just can't allow this to happen because there's going to be a fundamental breakdown in the social fabric of our country where people just say, look, democratic politics has failed me time and again. I want nothing more to do with it. And then what do you do when you've got a disillusioned mass population? It's a terrible, damning indictment on the British state and politicians. Have you got what it takes to be a reasoned presenter? Well, send us a short clip of yourself to join@reasoned.uk and we might be seeing you on this very channel very soon indeed.